let's deep dive into the topics. I think before we get into any organizational part, let's talk about the people and the culture, because I think handling more than 25 markets across Europe means you need to create a vision and a clear identity. Maybe Uwe, you can tell us a little bit, how did you do that and what was important for you?
Yeah, Jonas, that in fact was not just the starting point of the entire endeavor in the end, but it was also one of the most important success moments to take, in my opinion, I would say, everybody on that journey together. It doesn't make sense to go to 25 successful countries in the BMW environment and tell them now top down what to do, what to change, because you know it better and whatnot. That's not how it works, and that's also not how I am operating. So my target clearly was to take everybody on this journey and to create an understanding why this transformation was so necessary and why it was necessary now. These are all very smart, talented Europeans, so the European mindset overall was already existing, but by explaining in a lot of workshops and a lot of conversations that driven by mostly digitalization and technology, we cannot have these competencies in each and every market anymore. So that's why we had to say, okay, we go down the path of centralizing and creating expert hubs, and in the end everybody understood it. Yeah, but it's quite a journey, because it also means to people in the markets, they had to give up certain things. We developed an approach together, which we call the 80-20 approach, which in the end is the mindset to say, yeah, in this day and age, 80% of what we are doing and what we need in marketing in a modern company and organization and brand can be taken from the shelf, can be a blueprint item, yeah, that doesn't need to be invented in the country. And then you add 20% of, let's say, localness to make sure in Italy, in France, in the Netherlands, it feels relevant to the local people and local customers. And as I said before, we developed that together. It was not top down. We took everybody on that journey. So it also feels for each and everybody involved like we have done this together and we are all the parents of this European approach.
Yeah, understood. And I think the parents is a nice description. And when we move to the people, giving a shared vision, saying, you know, together we are stronger, and you, like you said, maybe not each country can afford what all you can afford together. It makes you stronger that you can supply and blueprint certain things. On the other side, you need to shift or let's say establish new roles, maybe shift roles. Certain things in the central organization, others you leave for a certain and a good reason in the markets because they're closest to the customer and the culture. How did you handle that, or what roles were important to stay in the one or other, or to create new?
Yeah, that's a big point, because if you change an organization tremendously, roles need to change. Some will disappear, new ones will appear and have to be created. And especially in a company with a legacy like BMW, that's a complex endeavor, because everybody knows what to do, everybody's successful, and now you want to change more or less 80-90% of the organization. So we identified together the overall setup. One of the key pillars obviously was building a hub structure for marketing technology, which is something that we did not have before. So it was very clear that this is something that we need to create and is a role that we simply did not have before. We did that by identifying in each and every market in Europe the top talents, for example, for digital media, the websites, the one-to-one communication in our email marketing. And we bundled these competencies in such, let's call them, for the lack of a better term, competence centers. We call it the digital hub. And then everybody in the markets is getting the benefit out of that competence center. But that is, of course, one of the, I would say, almost biggest transformational items that we had to do when it comes to organization and people. You need a very good, not oversized steering function to give direction, to look at the budget, the healthy ratios in everything you do. That's a steering function, which I personally don't need oversized or over-engineered, but you need it. And then, like you said before, Jonas, you need to clearly identify what remains in the market for these 20%. And that's, for example, everything around events and sponsoring and whatnot. But one other key role I would like to mention, which is one in the market as well, and that's what we call a customer journey manager, which is now a very data-driven role. These are now marketing people in our countries that look at dashboards, at numbers, at data, to understand if what we do has the effect that we aim for. And this is not a creative job anymore, like we used to have them. This is a person that is very much in love with data to take immediate action if something in the journey is not going in the right direction.
And I think these people need to, of course, shift from, hey, we're the creative mindset of the country, to we are driving business and we're taking responsibility of business and sales along the journey. And there's always the flip side of the marketing journey, from, you know, off-site to the website to configurator. And then there's the business journey. And I think they think probably also more into terms of the models, the car models they need to sell. So they need to be one end-to-end responsible person with a sales function to drive that. And of course, yeah, with the blueprints that you get from Central, that you can make the action. Yeah, interesting.